It's UFC 295, and we're going to break down this card in its entirety. I am your host for the evening. I am 138 MMA. And one thing, real quick, my voice is, as you can tell, kind of going away. Started losing it last week. It hasn't come back. So we're going to see if I can make it all the way through these videos. I'm going to do my best. Let's go ahead and break down some fights before I lose my voice. We've got a featherweight matchup. Emmers taking on Denis Buzukja. Denis Buzukja has 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He's coming off of that debut loss to Sean Woodson. It happened. Sean Woodson's a pretty good fighter. There you go. Emmers, he's 2-3 in his last 5, but that 2-3 does not quite reflect the level of Emmers, right? The arguable win over Jack Jenkins, it was close, right? It was a really close fight. I had a bet on Jenkins, and I still thought Emmers was probably going to get it. I'm happy my bet cashed. Jenkins got the win. Sad for Emmers. But either way, 2-3 in his last 5 from official records. For Emmers, he's a solid wrestler. He's got good top control. He's got good takedown defense, and he can scramble with some of the best of them. His striking's pretty good as well. He's got pretty good volume. He's got good power, but he does not defend leg kicks whatsoever, so there is that issue. The big issue for a guy like Emmers is he can be a slow starter at times, and that 7 losses in his 19 wins, that 7 losses here next to that, a lot of that comes down to losing close decisions, things like that, where he just kind of started a little bit slow. That's what happens sometimes, right? On the other side, Buzukja, he's going to make it hard for Emmers to start slow because he's going to come forward with his wrestling. He's got powerful takedowns. He's a good scrambler as well. He likes to take the back and attack submissions from there. He's got good trips from the clinch as well. And he's a very kill or be killed fighter. In this one here, I think the striking advantage is all on the Emmers side. I think he's a much better striker. He should have a slight reach advantage as well, not enough to be notable really, but he's the better striker. When it comes to the wrestling, it's close. It's back and forth, I think. But I do think Emmers has a good enough wrestling to keep this on the feet if he wants it to, or be able to get on top in the grappling. I think Emmers gets this one done as long as he doesn't start out just too slow. But like I said, the kill or be killed style of Buzukja probably makes that a little bit better for Emmers because he's going to force him to get going early. So for me, Emmers is the pick, and I feel pretty good about him. Let me know who you have, and I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Next up is probably my favorite fight on the card. It is in the flyweight division. Joshua Van takes on Kevin Borjas. Now, this fight was originally scheduled for a Dana White's Contender Series matchup this past season. But if you remember, Joshua Van got called up to fight Zhalgas Zhumagulov as an underdog, gets the win. I told you he would. He did it. That's why we like Joshua Van. Now, on the other side, Kevin Borjas, he remained on the Contender Series. He got scheduled to fight Victor Diaz. Kevin Borjas was a massive underdog. Everybody said Victor Diaz was going to win, but not your boy 138 MMA. I said Kevin Borjas is getting this one done, and he's going to look good doing it. Guess what he did? He got it done and looked good doing it. Diaz was just grabbing at legs and trying to hang on for dear life while he was getting his face caved in. Kevin Borjas got the win there as an underdog, as I said he would. I like both of these guys. I'm a big fan of both of these guys after they cashed big underdog tickets for me. That's fantastic. Van wasn't a big underdog, but he was an underdog nonetheless. Either way, I love that, right? Both guys only 1 loss on their career. I'm sorry, my voice is almost gone, so we're going to do our best to get through the video. Borjas, 1 loss on the career, just like Van. Van has 0 losses in his last 5 fights, 1 for Borjas. Something to note about that Borjas loss, though, it was a fight at a catch weight of 139 pounds. So that's obviously they're 125ers here. So take that for what you will. It's basically all I'm saying. Anyway, both of these guys are absolutely solid strikers. This is going to be fight of the night. And both of these guys are absolutely solid strikers. I'll start with Borjas because he's on this side of the board. Dude's a solid striker with good straight, clean shots, good combinations. He mixes in elbows and knees in his combinations as well, which is fantastic. He's got clean kicks. He can counter strike extremely well. In fact, that's one of his best tools. Even if he's moving backwards, he does a great job at countering, whether it's the quick snap back or like do a pole counter type of deal, or if he wants to catch a low kick. I love this about it. He'll catch that low kick, throw that straight, drop the guy, put him on the mat, right? But instead of following him down like most of these buffoons do when they're the better striker, they follow the grappler to the ground. Not Kevin Borjas. What does he do? Knocks him down to the ground after catching that naked leg kick the grappler always throws, hits him, drops him, and then says, nah, get back up. I love it. So Kevin Borjas does a great job with that. I do really like that a lot about him. He works the body very well, but the one thing I don't like is he does get a little too content to do that lean back defense. And well, that is okay when somebody's throwing single shots at you, right? Because you just get out of the way of that one. But what happens when you put all your weight on the back foot and they fall through with another shot? Because you can only lean so far back. Then you have to start backpedaling. I know you can't see me, I'll go off the screen, but then you have to kind of start, like, you can't get out of the way. They're coming forward too fast because you need to keep your weight 50-50 to have good movement. So when you do that lean back like this, almost all your weight's on the back leg, which limits your movement. So you're a sitting duck if they start throwing 3, 4, 5 punch combinations at you, knowing they're going to miss the first couple. So the lean back defense only works so well. The reason it does work well for Borjas is because when he leans back, he snaps back with a counter strike very quickly. So he does have that going for him. It's just something that I can see down the road being a problem for him. Now, grappling. If you watch that Victor Diaz fight, Victor Diaz was not getting him. I know everybody says, oh, Kevin Borjas takedown defense sucks. That's not the truth. Yes, he was taken down quite a few times in that matchup. He did work back to his feet. Relentlessly, he worked to get back to his feet. But it wasn't the initial takedown that was getting him down. It's just because Victor Diaz is a good wrestler, and he was able to start working for 2, 3, 4 attempts on the same takedown and then get him. Because initially, the sprawl is there, and he works the cross piece, which is actually my favorite takedown defense if you can get it, where you just take that edge of the arm, just kind of crank it up under some orifice on the face of your opponent, and you just kind of use that to drag them back up to your height. You can pull them into the clinch, or you can just pull them up and then make space and go back to striking, which is what Borjas wants to do. Now, his initial takedown defense is solid. It's when it's that second and third attempt that gets him to the mat, and that's where he struggles over the long haul. So for wrestlers, they're going to be able to get him down eventually. However, in this matchup here, he's going against Joshua Van, who's not really a wrestler. Joshua Van is a striker. And he does have jiu-jitsu, but he's a striker. We're going to break him down now. He's got solid striking. He's going to establish the jab, and he's got a heck of a leg kick, right? He's got a ton of power to go along with these tools, and what he's going to do is keep moving forward while he's throwing them. Come forward, hit that jab, boom, hit that jab, slam that leg kick, tons of power. He's also going to slip and counter as he moves in. Just gets out of the way, snaps it through, right? So what do I mean by slip and counter? Slip and counter, you let that punch just sail right over the shoulder, and you come right back with your own shot, right? He does a good job of getting that head just off the center line, not moving more than he has to, not making these big extravagant movements. He's just letting that punch slide over the shoulder and comes back with that shot. And with power like Joshua Van has, that is very, very impressive and very important. Voice is almost going to fail me there, guys. Okay. I know there's more verbiage on the Borjas side. These guys striking, both of them are about the same in my eyes. Both of them have about the same. There's just more to explain here. What Joshua Van does, he does it very well. There's not as much to explain in it, right? Equal striking, if you ask me. Now, when it comes to the jiu-jitsu, off his back, Joshua Van's pretty good. He's very much submission over position. His takedown defense isn't great, but that probably is irrelevant here. But he's good off his back. That is more submission over position. I think we're getting a striking matchup. For me, this one's very close. And if the odds were really close, I would probably just, crack open another root beer. But the odds aren't close. Kevin Borjas is your guy. I'm taking Kevin Borjas. He's like plus 200 underdog. Are you guys kidding me? This is a close fight between two guys who are both solid strikers. Borjas has a reach advantage of like 3 inches. So if you got a 3-inch reach advantage, both guys are absolutely solid in the striking. Borjas looked fantastic against Victor Diaz in a fight where he was supposed to lose on paper and by a lot, and he didn't. So Kevin Borjas is my pick. I understand why some people are on Van. I don't blame you. But the value side's on Borjas. My pick is Borjas, and that's who I'm riding with this week for UFC 295. But let me know who you have in the comments below. Thank you so much. Bantamweight next here. We have Kyung-Ho Kang taking on John Castaneda. Castaneda is 3-2 in his last 5, 4-1 for Kang. And hey, for those of you that have already done it, I appreciate you guys for liking the video. It helps the channel a lot. If you haven't done so, hey, now's a good chance to scroll down there and do so. Now, let's break this fight down, shall we? Castaneda, good striker. He's got good forward pressure, and he puts out a high volume of strikes. And they're kind of unorthodox at times. He does some spins, does some clean, standard 1-2s, throws the kicks, mixes things up very well. But his striking defense isn't the best, and I think a lot of that's because he's just throwing a lot of offense. So sometimes you can get caught in those exchanges. On the wrestling, he's got good wrestling, and a lot of times those takedowns are going to come during the striking exchanges, which makes for a hard takedown defense for the opponent, right? Because if you're defending all these strikes and all of a sudden he changes levels and goes for that takedown, well, it's hard to stop that takedown. So for Castaneda, those are two good things that he does, and he does them both at a high pace. So that's kind of like his game plan, right? He's going to come forward with a high volume strikes, mix in the takedowns, and just kind of overwhelm opponents. That's what he does well. For Kang, the guy's got good striking as well. He keeps range well. He's best when he is able to do that, and he works those 1-2s, those big, long, rangy 1-2s, snaps them down the pipe. His volume's pretty good most of the time, but there's been a few fights where it has been lackluster, but it's pretty good most of the time. So I give it the plus minus. I think it's more good than bad. I don't think we got to worry too much here. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to compete with the volume of Castaneda, but for Kang, he does have good enough volume, and if he's able to keep it at range, he's going to be landing more shots because he's going to be able to keep in the range he wants, right? With the wrestling, he's got pretty good takedowns, and his top pressure is good. I think if he can get on top of Castaneda is going to struggle in those situations. He's going to have to try to create space, and I think he's going to have a hard time doing that against Kang. So for Kang, the top pressure is going to be there. The takedowns are going to be there. And he does have some creative submissions, right? He doesn't go for all the typical things that you think of. I just got tongue-tied. He doesn't go for all the typical submissions that you expect all the time. He can mix things up and kind of go for some more unorthodox stuff, make things happen. He does a good job with it. I do like that for Kang. But for me, I think the volume and the pace is going to be Castaneda, and I think he's going to get the win. So for me, the pick's Castaneda in this one. I'll see you in the next Gordon fight. Takes on Mark Madsen in the lightweight division. And in this one here, we've got Madsen with 4-1 in the last 5. We've got 2-2 and 1 no contest for Gordon in his last 5. But that last 5 for Gordon, it's not exactly the way it seems, right? The no contest, he was winning that fight against Bobby Green in that moment, or at least up until then. Caught the headbutt, got knocked out. It's just the way it is. Now, would he have won the fight? We don't know. Bobby Green's looked really good lately, but we don't know. It's just in that moment he was looking good, caught the headbutt. One of those losses comes to Paddy Pimblett, in which it's kind of unanimously believed that Jared Gordon got the win there, but on paper, Paddy Pimblett won the fight, so 2-2 and 1 it is. With this one here, we got Mark Madsen, who is a high-level Greco-Roman wrestler. Dude's got excellent upper body throws and takedowns. He's great at pushing guys up against the cage, starting to work some knees and hold them there, and then get these big slams, pick you up and toss you to the mat because, well, it's that Greco-Roman style, the upper body control, throws, gets the underhooks just like that, does what he's got to do. Striking, it's developing. He's got a lot of it set up by the threat of the wrestling. He's got a good leg kick, I'd say, but he doesn't defend leg kicks, but he's got a good leg kick of his own. It's just not a lot of striking on the Madsen side, but he does have the ability to strike because the wrestling sets it up, right? For Gordon, he's the better striker of the two by far. He's got good forward pressure. He's got a good lead hook. Oftentimes he uses it as a counter. He can mix up the levels on that hook. He can come forward, put it in combination, the 3-2, whatever he's got to do. Does a good job with that, Jared Gordon does. He's got good wrestling of his own. It's a lot of cage push. When he gets the control there, when he gets you to the mat, he likes to control first. That's what he's looking to do. Neither guy is really a big finisher, so I definitely think this fight goes to decision. And if I have to pick, I'm going to take Jared Gordon. But I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be one of those things where judges might be a little bit kind of back and forth. They might say, okay, Madsen's got to control up against the fence, but Gordon's landed better strikes. I more think it goes to decision than I think Jared Gordon wins, but I do think Jared Gordon wins. So when pressed, I will say Jared Gordon's the pick. But hey, real quick, also, that channel again, they're running their mouths again. That's okay. Hey, they had a bad card at UFC Sao Paulo. That's why they skipped their event recap at their video. It happens. I understand a wounded animal often lashes out, and that's what they're doing. They're just lashing out at other channels because they're upset that they had a bad card. It's okay. Don't worry about it, guys. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate the messages. It's totally fine. We're just here to break down fights, guys. It's I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well. And when you see this video, hey, just know I hope you guys are doing okay. But that's my pick, Jared Gordon. Let me know who you guys have in the comments. Let's go ahead and break down that. Lightweight, we have Nazim Sadykhov taking on Vyacheslav Borshchev. Borshchev 3-2 in the last 5, 5-0 for Sadykhov. Hey, if you don't know it already, patreon.com/138MMA is where you can get access to all my notes, my top 5 bets of the week, as well as the Patreon parlay and many other things. You can find that there again, patreon.com/138MMA. And at the time of recording this video, my top 5 bets for UFC 295 are already up, as well as that Patreon parlay I mentioned. You're also going to get access to my picks with confidence ratings. And by the time that this video is posted, those should also be up as well. So let's break down this fight. Vyacheslav Borshchev, 3-2 in the last 5, like I said. It's like we all have seen already. The takedown defense isn't really the best. He does try to work to get back to his feet, but the takedown defense is what he lacks because on the feet, the dude's a high-level striker, super crisp, quality kickboxing. He's got tons of power. His kicks are probably his best weapon, but he has that beautiful body hook as well. Dude's got combinations where he mixes his punches and kicks together. His striking is not the problem. It's just the guys that can keep taking him down and hold him there, or just keep taking him down, rinse and repeat. That's the way you beat Borshchev, right? But if he can keep it on the feet, this dude is a problem for most people. On the other side, we have Nazim Sadykhov, who undefeated in the last 5. He's got pretty solid striking in his own right. He's got a pretty good level of kickboxing in his background. He can fight out of either stance. He's got good movement on the feet, throws in combinations. Sometimes he spins a little bit too much. I don't really like that a lot, but sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But he has fast hands, and he does a really good job in the pocket, in tight, just landing those shots. Does a great job with the striking. I mean, obviously, Borshchev is just a little bit more of a high-level striker, but it's not like it's a total wash here. In the grappling, though, Sadykhov's the better fighter. He's got the better grappling. He's got good scrambles. His takedown defense also isn't good, but I don't think Borshchev's shooting a lot of takedowns. But he's got a very ground and pound heavy style. Now, I understand he got a submission win over Terrence McKinney, but Sadykhov's first option is the ground and pound. What's he going to do? He's going to look to, if he gets somebody to the mat, he's going to look to get on top, whether it be from a scramble or from a takedown of his own, which he doesn't look for often, but I think in this fight he will. But when he gets on top, that ground and pound is what he's going for, and he does a pretty good job of landing it with volume and intent. For me, I think this fight's going to come down to the fact that as it goes on, the likelihood of Sadykhov getting this fight to the mat gets higher. Because what he's going to do is he's going to say, okay, let's see how I do in the striking. He's probably going to be okay for a little bit, but Borshchev's probably going to start hitting him with some shots, and he's going to say, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go to the game plan. We talked about it in camp, and I'm going to take this guy down. And Sadykhov's going to do that. He's going to take him down, and he's going to get on top, and he's going to work his ground and pound, and that's where we get the win. Sadykhov's the pick, but for me, I think I'm going to pass on this one as far as, anything heavy. I don't think this is a fight. I think this is a fight where you crack open an ice cold root beer, kick your feet up on the coffee table, toss back an ice cold root beer, and have a good night, right? Because this is going to be a fun fight, and somebody could get slept early. So, but for the sake of a pick, we've got Nazim Sadykhov. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And also get a matchup at the women's strawweight division. We have Lupita Godinez. She's taking on Tabitha Ricci. Both of these ladies, 4-1 in their last 5. Both have looked very impressive in the UFC thus far for most of the fights. For Godinez, she's a good wrestler, right? She's got good wrestling. She's got a good cage push. She can get the takedowns from against the cage. And when she gets the takedowns, whether she stays at the cage or gets the takedowns, she's got good control. Now, striking, she's good in the striking department as well. She's got good volume. She works combinations. Before, it was a lot of just 1-2s. Now she's starting to put that together into full combinations. She's doing a good job there. And she's going to come forward, use that pressure on the feet, does a good job with that, right? On the other side, Tabitha Ricci. She's a very fast starter. She's going to come out of the gate 100 miles an hour. She's trying to get this thing done early. She's going to use her striking to set up her grappling because she has decent striking, right? I would say Godinez is probably the better striker, but Tabitha Ricci's got good volume, and she's going to strike in flurries, and her whole goal is to just throw these flurries to get you to back up against the cage. When she does that, that's where the grappling comes in. She's got a solid judo background. She's got good jiu-jitsu background as well. When she gets opponents up to the cage, she either gets them with a traditional takedown or uses those judo trips and throws to get the takedowns from there. Once she gets it to the mat, she's got a very large toolbox, and she's got great top pressure. For me, it comes down to a couple of things. Can Godinez stay on the feet? Because on the feet, she does have the advantage here. Or can Ricci get this fight to the mat because she has the advantage on the ground? Now, I understand Lupita Godinez could get on top, but I do think it'd be a mistake to take Ricci down because I don't think she can hold Tabitha Ricci down. I think Tabitha Ricci's going to be able to sweep, reverse position, whatever, and get on top, use her submission game. Maybe not get the submission, but threaten with enough to keep her in place, land the ground and pound. For me, I've got to take the person that I think has the better grappling upside here because I think at some point she's going to be able to get it to the mat. So for me, Tabitha Ricci's the pick. It just so happens she happens to be an underdog, so that's always nice too. But let me know who you have, and I will see you guys. An incredibly short notice matchup here. Don't worry, 138 MMA is here to cover this matchup and make sure we get it on the card. We've got Mateusz Rebecki, who's on the card originally. He was slated to fight Nurilo Aliyev, who injured his leg. He's out. So Rebecki, still here. He's 5-0 in his last 5, 18-1 in the career. He was ready to go. He's looking for a replacement opponent. In steps Roosevelt Roberts. Roosevelt Roberts, now this fight is presumably at 155 pounds. That's what the original matchup was. It could be at a catchweight. I don't know for sure. It's listed at 155, but it's very short notice, so who knows? However, Roberts coming off of The Ultimate Fighter, where you got to make weight pretty frequently. So maybe he said, you know what, I can do it. That's no big deal. If you don't count the Ultimate Fighter fights, which technically they don't on your record, they're exhibitions, he's 2-2 in a no contest in his last 5 fights. Not the best record you want to see, but hey, he did okay on the Ultimate Fighter. He looked great in his first matchup. Second one was not so good, but he lost a really weird decision where they kind of just sparred. But the first matchup, goes out there, sparks his opponent in just a few seconds. So he looked really good there, and people were pretty high on Roberts. So there is that. So in this one here, for Roberts, obviously you know he's taking this fight so he can get his shot in the UFC. They didn't offer him a contract straight after the Ultimate Fighter, so now here he is. He has a massive height and reach advantage in this one. So 6'2", 73-inch reach, as opposed to 5'7", 66-inch reach. Rebecki's one of the shorter guys at lightweight. He's going up against one of the taller guys at lightweight. So that is something to take into account. Let's go ahead and break down the skills of Rebecki here. He's a good wrestler with high pace, basically. That's what he does. Comes forward, shoots takedowns. He's got good takedown defense of his own. Takes guys down. If they get back up, he takes them back down again. Obviously, my notes are a little smaller here. We put this together last night after it was announced. We didn't have time to go too in-depth, so this is what you get. He does have decent striking. He comes forward, and when he comes forward, he throws with big power shots, and he has very, very heavy leg kicks. But basically, it's the pace of Rebecki that wins in fights. The pace and the physicality. That's what he gets by on, right? For Roberts, dude's a good striker, and his volume is there, typically, and the knees up the middle are the thing that I remember being something I really liked from him throughout his career. On the Ultimate Fighter, that knee, coming through the middle like that, that's how you get your wins, right? You do what you got going well for you. And at 6'2", it doesn't take long for him to get that knee to the chin of a guy that's 5'7". So if you're shooting takedowns especially, Roberts has a really good shot for this knee up the middle to land. And that's what he's going to want to do. But the problem is sometimes he negates his own height and reach advantage by getting too close, closing too much distance. He doesn't have the best control over his range, right? He's got good range. He just doesn't control it well. So he'll get in too close and be crowded in an opponent when he's backing up against the cage or whatever, or even just out in space, he'll crowd himself. That's a problem that Roberts has. In the grappling, he's good at creating scrambles. He stays pretty safe. He's hard to submit. I've seen him in some positions where you think you got him. Next thing you know, he scrambles out, makes that space. In the ground and pound, that's the thing I like the most from Roberts on the mat. He throws these straight punches from the top position. He's not just throwing those like hammer fists and big, the like drunk guy hooks you see, where you're swinging your arms. No, he's throwing straight punches down at guys' faces from the top position. So I do like that about Roberts. Ultimately, though, he's taking this fight on very short notice. He's going against a guy who obviously has one loss in his career. He's got very high pace. He hits very hard. I think that Rebecki probably gets this one done, and I think he gets it done pretty easily. And I think this is more of a spot where Roberts wants his shot back in the UFC, and the UFC said, hey, look, we need somebody to go against Rebecki. We really want him on this card. Can you do it? And he said, yeah, let's get a 4-fight contract going. And that's what happened. That's my assumption. I don't know for sure. I don't know the details, but that's what I assume. He knows that this is a tough fight on really short notice. Full camp may be a little different. Really short notice. Rebecki's got to be the side. But if he catches him with a knee up the middle, I wouldn't be too surprised. That is his best path to victory, is those knees up the middle. Like I said, that height advantage makes that knee hit the chin real easy. So for me, the pick is Rebecki. Let me know who you have in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Flyweights up next. Steve Erceg takes on Alessandro Costa. Erceg is 5-0 in his last 5. Costa 4-1 in his. Now, for Erceg, decent striker. He's got good volume. He's got a good leg kick, but those straight punches are kind of what works best for him, I think, on the feet. Striking defense isn't the best, but he's very durable. We've seen him get hit and just eat the shots. He wants to get the fight to the mat most of the time because he is solid in the jiu-jitsu department. He's got good top control, very good top control. He's good at attacking the submissions once the fight gets to the mat. Does a fantastic job there. He's looking for the finish, whether it's on the feet or on the mat, but the jiu-jitsu is where he does his best work. For Costa, he's a bit more balanced between the two. He's a good striker with tons of power. He likes to look for that big overhand. That big overhand is a powerful move for him, but he also works the body very well. So whether he's going for the overhand or ripping the body, he does a good job with it. He sticks his jab out there, does that, but the problem is his volume can be lackluster. A lot of times he waits for that power shot. Volume's not really there to to follow it up. That's not what you want to see, but when he does land, his powerful shots are very impressive. Now, on the grappling side, he does have good takedown defense. He's a good jiu-jitsu player once the fight does get to the mat. He's something of an armbar specialist, but he also has very good ground and pound when he gets on top of his opponents. His ground and pound, he does a lot of work to get the finish from the top. But like I said, from the bottom, he's an armbar specialist. He can also hit that armbar from top side, especially after setting it up with the ground and pound. Gets guys doing this, the armbar's there. So for me, this one is tough. Like I said, I'm probably not going to place any bets on this one. This one for me is let's just watch this one as a fan and figure it out, because both these guys are relatively new to the UFC. And we don't have a good. I don't feel like I personally know enough to place my hard-earned money on this one. So for the pick, though, we're taking Steve Erceg. I like Erceg to win this one. I don't know. No, I don't have a ton to back it up, like I said, but I'm taking Erceg. Let me know what you have. Do you have a more convincing argument than I do? And if so, I would love to hear it in the comments, because I can be swayed. This is one of the fights on the card that I can definitely be swayed. Let me know who you have in the comments. I'm on Erceg right now. I'd love to hear from you. Sabatini takes on Diego Lopes in the featherweight division. Guys, this is another fun matchup. This whole card is just full of fun matchups. And a quick reminder, like this video if you haven't done so already. I do appreciate it very much. Now, Diego Lopes, 3-2 in the last 5, 4-1 for Pat Sabatini. For Diego Lopes, he's a solid jiu-jitsu player. He's got a large toolbox. He's very opportunistic with his submissions and his transitions on the mat. His scrambles are fantastic. His takedown defense, though, it's not very good. And I think that's because a lot of the times he doesn't care if he gets taken down. He wants to work this jiu-jitsu because that's where he's best. He's on the mat. He can sweep you. He can transition to a better position, start attacking submissions, all that good stuff. Diego Lopes is a nightmare for somebody on the mat, typically. Now, in the striking, he's got good forward pressure, and I think a lot of the ability for him just to come forward and swing wild, which normally isn't good, for him, it's okay because, like I said, he doesn't care if he gets taken down because his grappling is so good. He's going to come forward, throw with a ton of power, pretty darn good volume as well, because, like I said, he doesn't care if he gets taken down. So when he lands those big shots, that's what he's looking to do on the feet. Does a good job with it. Now, for Pat Sabatini, this dude's a solid grappler as well. He's going to chain wrestle. When you start to get back to your feet, he's going to mat return you, and he's going to do that over and over. He's going to keep control of you. He's got great scrambles as well. When he gets to your back, he is an absolute specialist in the rear naked choke. That is what he goes for. The rear naked choke is his best move on the mat. Now, when he gets to your back, you're probably not getting him off of there either. That control from there is fantastic. These guys in their grappling, this is going to be fantastic. I would love to, I don't even watch like just grappling usually, but I would probably watch a matchup between these two if it was just like, one of those like submission grappling matches. That would be so much fun because these guys are very good grapplers, and I actually quite enjoy it. I would quite enjoy that. My goodness. In the striking, Sabatini, dude's got decent boxing as well. He's got good combinations with the hands, but the problem he has is that durability concern because we saw him get flattened by Damon Jackson. My guy, I like Damon Jackson a lot, but you don't want to be getting flattened by guys on one shot. One big, sure it was a front kick to the face, but, we've also seen him dropped in other fights in the past. Yes, he survived, but we've seen him drop pretty bad in a lot of matchups. So for Pat Sabatini, durability concerns are there. I do think this is going to be a grappling match, though. Between these two guys, I think we're going to see more grappling than anything. And for me, it's close, but I'm going to slightly lean Pat Sabatini to get this one done. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to be able to use his ability to control from the top while Lopes is looking for submissions off the bottom. And I think that's what's going to give Sabatini the win on the judges' scorecard, which is what I think we get as a judge's decision for Pat Sabatini. But let me know who you have. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Absolute banger of a matchup here. Benoit Saint-Denis takes on Matt Frevola in the lightweight division. Real quick, shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys. All you down in the comments with your neat badges next to your name. You're the real ones. I appreciate it very much. Let's break this down. Now, 4-1 in the last 5 for Benoit Saint-Denis. That one loss is up a weight class at welterweight against Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. We all know how that fight went. Dos Santos looked like a world beater and just beat the brakes off of Saint-Denis, but he hung in there. He didn't go out. That referee was looking for him to die, and he just didn't do it. Tough as nails. For Frevola, 3-2 in the last 5. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, right? And that in those 3 fights, he has improved leaps and bounds from the fighter he was when he got to the UFC. Matt Frevola has been improving rapidly. Now, with this matchup here, we'll start on the Saint-Denis side. He's a good striker with a ton of forward pressure. His volume is there. He's just going to kind of back guys up against the cage and just slamming shots. His best weapon on the feet, though, is that savage body kick that this man has. It is brutal. When he lands it, you're going to feel it. Now, he's incredibly durable, as we talked about that Dos Santos fight in which he took some of the most nasty shots and just kept on coming. The referee probably should have stopped it, but they didn't, and he survived to the buzzer. Very durable, very aggressive on the feet. He can leave his chin up there, but like I said, he's incredibly durable. On the ground, dude's got good takedowns and the timing is there. I'm sorry, my voice is barely here now. He's got good takedown. The timing is there, so he sets it up well with the strikes, goes for that takedown. When he gets to the mat, he's got a large toolbox. He's very opportunistic, whether that be with the takedowns or with the submission attempts. He's going to chain his attempts together, whether it's the rear naked choke to an armbar or whatever, the triangle to an armbar or whatever it may be. He chains attempts. He goes from one thing to another, and he does a darn good job with it. He also has good sweeps. He can use the submission to sweep, or he can just use traditional trap a limb and sweep you that way. He is very good on the ground. He's a very accomplished grappler as far as his skill set goes, but he's fighting Matt Frevola, who is a good striker with a ton of forward pressure and power to knock out a gorilla. I swear. He knocked out Drew Dober, and anybody that can knock out Drew Dober could knock out a gorilla. If you said, hey, give me one fighter in the UFC to knock out this gorilla over here, and if they can do it, I'll give you $100. I'd say, give me Matt Frevola. That dude could knock out a gorilla guaranteed, because that dude knocked out Drew Dober, and Dober has one heck of a chin. So, excellent power. He's got good boxing combinations. In fact, his boxing has improved greatly, because when he came to the UFC, he was more of a wrestler. And he still has that skill set, don't get me wrong. But my goodness, has his boxing improved a lot. The wrestling, good takedowns. He's got good control. He scrambles very well. He can do what he needs to do with the wrestling, but that power is unreal. Now, in this matchup here, when I look at these two guys side by side, Benoit Saint-Denis is the more skilled fighter, I think, skill for skill. I think he has more skills to put together, and I do think that that's going to benefit him in a lot of matchups. But the problem is, he does leave his chin up, and a guy like Frevola that could knock out a gorilla, that power on Veterans Day. Frevola is a veteran. Guys, I've got to take Frevola. He's an American veteran on Veterans Day here in America. Guys, I can't do it. I can't not pick Frevola. Dude's got power to knock out a gorilla, and it's Veterans Day. Give me Matt Frevola to get it done as the underdog, but let me know who you have. And if you're on the Saint-Denis side, I don't blame you. The dude's an absolute mastermind. He's a savage. He's a top-tier skilled fighter. I understand, but this is going to be Frevola's night. But let me know who you have. I will see you in the strawweights next. Mackenzie Dern at 3-2 in her last 5 is taking on Jessica Andrade at 2-3 in her last 5. For Andrade, she's on a 3-fight skid. A lot of them short notice. Just hasn't looked quite herself lately. She's taking on Mackenzie Dern, who looked much improved in her last matchup. So the momentum is on the Dern side, but skill for skill, how do these two shake up? Well, let's start with Dern. High-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's got an extremely large toolbox. When she gets you to the mat, control is what she's got. She's going to control from whatever position she can get. She's got submissions from everywhere. She can get you from any limb, any position on the mat. She's got it. She is fantastic when it gets there. But the problem is, she lacks quality takedowns to get the fight to the mat. So sometimes getting the fight to the mat requires her to try to force that with jumping guard or getting hit a lot, just trying to dive at takedowns. And that's not been good for her. So this is a big issue for Mackenzie Dern. But once she gets it here, she's got a good shot at beating whoever she gets to the mat. Now, in the striking, she looked way better in her matchup against Angela Hill in the last fight than she has ever looked in striking. So I don't know if that was a one-off. I don't know what that was. Maybe, I don't know what that was. She looked great in that matchup in the striking compared to where she had been before. But in general, she has decent striking. The defense in her striking is the problem. She's been very durable, but she does get hit quite a bit. So that can be a problem when you're going up against somebody like Jessica Andrade. Something to keep in mind. Her cardio is fantastic. This is a 3-round fight. Mackenzie Dern has been fighting main events, in her last matchup, things like that. If this was a 5-round fight, it would change things because cardio would play a big role. But it is 3 rounds, so here we are. For Andrade, she is a good striker with a ton of power, and she keeps it late. Even if she starts to fade with her cardio, that power stays. She still hits like a truck. She's got a good forward pressure. She's got a ton of volume coming forward. She is wide open to counters, though, when she starts swinging those big, heavy shots. And a lot of that is just her trying to weave her way in and just throw big bombs. And when she does that, yeah, she can land and crack you and just drop you dead. But she is wide open to those counters, like I said. So that's a problem for Andrade. She is decent in the grappling. She likes to pick people up and slam them, as we saw her do to Rose Namajunas, get the knockout win there. But she does that in general. That's how she likes to get the fight to the mat. Strike, get you up against the cage, pick you up, slam you on your head, whatever it is, or just slam you down. And she's got good ground and pound to follow it up. She typically starts very fast, and that's why she comes out of the gate, throwing that power, that volume, just pressure, pressure, pressure. Jessica Andrade, if she wants to win this fight, needs to get going early. Start landing big shots, get this fight in her wheelhouse early on, and not let Dern give this fight to the mat. However, if she leaves herself open to a counter, eats a big shot, and then lets Dern get a hold of her, push her up against the cage, and start working her way to the mat, Dern's going to have a pretty good shot there. I do think Dern gets this one done. And if this was a year ago, I don't know that I would. But Jessica Andrade hasn't looked herself lately, and I understand that's against very high-level competition, some of the best in the division. She hasn't looked the best as of late. And it's not that she hasn't, it's not that she's losing to these people. It's just that she's losing to these other fighters and not looking like herself. You understand what I'm saying, guys? I've got to take Mackenzie Dern because she looks to be improving quite a bit. Andrade looks to be kind of in a rut. I don't know. Losing does become a habit after a while. I'm not entirely sold on it, but I'm taking Mackenzie Dern. Let me know who you have. I appreciate you guys checking it out, and I will see you in the heavyweight interim championship of the world is up next. Sergey Pavlovich takes on Tom Aspinall for the interim championship. Obviously, John Jones got hurt, scraps the original main event. Now this is the co-main event, and Aspinall takes this fight on, 2 weeks' notice. He's taking on Pavlovich, who was originally slated to be the backup. Now he's in this match as well, obviously. That makes sense. So, for Pavlovich, 5-0 in the last 5. Only 1 loss on the career, that being the loss to Overeem in what I believe was his UFC debut. For Aspinall, 4-1 in the last 5. That 1 loss in the last 5 coming at the hands of Curtis Blades. Aspinall blew out his knee. It happens. Did Blades cause it? Did Aspinall cause his own injury? Whatever. It looked like it was just kind of a freak thing, so it happens. He has a couple losses way back in the day, one of which was a DQ for a 12-6 elbow, so you can kind of throw that out. But either way, both guys, top of the heavyweight division outside of the 2 that were originally in this matchup. And even then, I think this might be a better matchup. So, Tom Aspinall, dude's a fast starter, solid striking. He's got good boxing combinations. We all know sparring partner of Tyson Fury, all that good stuff. He's got good movement on the feet. He darts in, lands his shot, starts out, does what he got to do there. He's got good knees up the middle, but he leaves his chin wide up there, like he's way up in the sky, like he's trying to get that chin to the clouds. It's not good. It's not what you want. But there it is. It's there. In the grappling, he's a solid grappler as well. And at heavyweight, you don't see a lot of solid grapplers. He's got good takedowns, accurate ground and pound, and he's going to seek the submission. And he's got a pretty decent-sized toolbox as well, if I do add that. So, for Pavlovich, he's also a fast starter. So, what does that tell you? Both of these guys are the number 1 and number 2 for shortest average fight time in the heavyweight division in the UFC. So, there's that. But dude's going to come forward, got a lot of forward pressure, insane amounts of power, volume coming with those hands coming early. He doesn't throw a lot of kicks. He's just coming with the hands. And he's durable, so he can eat a shot as he's throwing. When he hits you, he's putting you out, right? The durability of Pavlovich does help him here because, Aspinall's quick with the boxing combinations. But if Pavlovich can eat a shot and then land one of his own, I do think he has the power to put out a guy like Aspinall. But we've seen him taken down and beat on the mat by Overeem. Overeem is not a high-level grappler. Yes, he's a grappler, but he's a striker first. He's a kickboxer, right? So for Overeem to be able to take down Pavlovich the way he did and just pound him out with ground and pound, make it, and Pavlovich had no answer for that. Has he improved in that area? We would assume, but we have nothing to say that he has. We haven't seen it. So there's that. So the red flags, okay. Chin wide open for Aspinall. Has been taken down and beat on the mat before pretty easily by someone who is typically known as a striker. I would say Aspinall is a better grappler than Overeem, okay? Yeah, this is a coin flip fight. Whatever side you pick, you're probably on the right side. It's hard to say. For me personally, I'm kicking my feet up on the coffee table, cracking open another ice cold root beer, and polishing off that six-pack, right? So for me, I would not be picking a side in the sense of making a bet, but I have to pick a side in this video. I'm going to take Tom Aspinall. And the reason why is I think his game plan is going to be go to this grappling right away, and I think he's going to be able to capitalize on it. I think he's going to feint something high and then immediately go for the takedown, and I think if he gets that takedown, he's going to be able to get the finish in that first round. So give me Tom Aspinall, but I also won't be surprised if Pavlovich pushes his fist through the head of Tom Aspinall. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But Aspinall's a pick. Let me know who you have. I'll see you guys in the main event. Here it is, folks, the main event of the evening. And guys, we're shooting for a goal. 150 likes on this video. Please do your part. Hit that like button for me. We've never hit 150 likes on a video. I want to do it now. That's not a very big number. There's like thousands of you guys that watch this stuff. Let's just go ahead and click that like button, all right? I appreciate it very much. Let's break this one down. Yuri Prochazka makes his return after an injury which caused him to vacate the championship. He's now fighting the protege of the man he beat for that title initially. Yuri Prochazka is now fighting Alex Pereira in the light heavyweight division for the vacant light heavyweight championship. Yes, this is a muddy division. I did a whole video explaining the division and breaking it down, ranking the division, and fixing the mess that the UFC has. If you haven't done it, watch it after this video. I'll make it sure it's at the end screen. Don't worry. After this video, watch that one. So, now, Yuri Prochazka, he's 5-0 in his last 5 because, like I said, he never lost his title. He had to vacate it because he got injured. He hurt his shoulder. He's fighting Alex Pereira. That one loss in his last 5 is to Israel Adesanya. In the rematch, after he beat Adesanya by knockout, he then got knocked out by Adesanya. Realized middleweight's a little bit too small for him. He really can't make that weight reasonably over time. So here he is. He's now going to 205 pounds, where he probably should be to try to claim the championships here. Now, for Pereira, strong striker guy. He's got forward pressure, walks guys down, gets them up against the cage, and just tees off on him. We saw him do that to Adesanya, and it got him the win. We saw him do that to Adesanya again. It didn't get him the win, but we saw him get the win the first time that he did that. When he's walking guys down, he has good head movement while he's parrying, right? I know he doesn't have a lot of head movement. It's just a slight little bit, just like that, while he's parrying shots and trapping hands. It's not a ton of head movement. When people think head movement, they think big head movement. No, just little bits while parrying shots and trapping the hands. He traps them, strikes. Traps them and strikes. He does that very well. That comes from his kickboxing. Now, with MMA gloves, it's a little different. You can grab, you can hook, you can do a little bit more. You got used to your fingers. So that helps him a little bit with that. He checks both leg and body kicks. Most guys do not do that in any division, let alone the light heavyweight division. That shows that kickboxing skill that Pereira has. It's the fact that in kickboxing, there's no takedowns, things like that. It's punches and kicks, right? You want to check all the kicks that you can. And if you can check a body kick, that saves you from absorbing that damage. Not a lot of guys do it. He does it well. That's what you like to see. He's got deadly power. He can knock you dead in one shot. That power that he possesses is something special. Now, I understand at light heavyweight, most guys have that kind of power. Just saying, it's there. He's got good knees up the middle. The flying knee as well. The flying knee is something that I'm a big fan of the flying knee. I know a lot of people aren't, but you can't really block a flying knee. The best you can do is hope to get out of the way of it. So it just resets the position if you fail. Now, sure, it uses a lot of energy to do it, but I do like the fact that with the flying knee, you can use it to close distance, to cover a lot of ground that you could not cover otherwise. So anyway, flying knee, I like it. It's there. Counter striking. He has a good counter, especially that left hook, right? He'll get out of the way and just, boom, launch that hook at you, push you to sleep. He does that well. He's done it in a lot of fights. That's what he gets his best shots with. And he can switch between single shots and combinations. It's great. One thing I didn't mention, he does have really good leg kicks. who likes to walk guys down, throw those leg kicks, and slow their movement to make it so they can't circle off as well, and he can back them into the corner, like I said he does up here with the leg kicks. I don't know why I didn't write it. I didn't write it. Meant to. Should be there. But either way, Pereira, that's him in a nutshell, right? On the other side, Yuri Prochazka. He's got good movement. It's awkward, but it's good. He's got good head movement as well. He does a lot of weird things, and it makes his movement unpredictable, but he uses it as his defense, right? Because we'll get into more of his defense a little bit later, but realistically, his movement is what he uses to defend against strikes. When it comes to his offense, he's got a fast jab that kind of comes from an odd angle because he keeps his hands low most of the time. Brings it up real quick. You don't see it coming. He's very explosive in his movements. Does a lot of wild stuff. He has a very sneaky front kick from a stance, which he's low and heavy on the front leg and snaps up a front kick from there. He almost is like crouched down when he's striking. It's weird for a guy that usually, somebody that's tall and long like he is, you'd think they'd want to be up higher so they can punch down at guys and use their natural height and reach. He doesn't do that. I don't know. It works for him. Like I said, dude's 29-3 in his career. You can't really hate on what he does, even though, like, you can hate on it, but, like, you have to acknowledge that it's working for him, even though it's goofy as all heck. He pretends to be a samurai, and, like, he's clearly not a samurai. I mean, right? That's not how that works. But he's goofy, but it's working for him. So whatever the heck he's doing something right, okay? So 29-3 on the career. So that goofy stuff, somehow it's working. Okay, anyway, mix of single shots and combinations. Much like Pereira, he does a good job of mixing just one shot or a combination of shots and not letting you know what's coming, what the difference is going to be, when it's going to be different. He's got a ton of power, 25 knockouts in his 29 wins. That is stellar. I don't doubt that Pereira will be around there too at that point, but at this point in there, the knockouts go to Prochazka. He's got 25 of them. That's fantastic. He's accurate when he's not doing weird stuff. And what do I mean by that? Well, he's an accurate striker, but sometimes he does stuff that just isn't going to land. Like, just goofy stuff. He's a goofy guy. We know this. He does goofy things. So he's going to do some goofy stuff that you just know isn't going to land, and that'll change his striking percentages. But when he's throwing things that are more fundamental, they land pretty well because he does a good job with those type of strikes. It's just the goofy stuff that just doesn't land ever, and that's okay. It's okay. He doesn't need to land everything. That goofy stuff then gives him the opportunity to throw clean stuff because you don't know what you're looking for or what to see coming. So he does that. The spinning attacks, I like them and dislike them. When they land, they're devastating. Like he did to Dominic Reyes, changed Dominic Reyes forever. That dude can't take a punch now. That dude was fine before that. He can't take a punch anymore after that spinning elbow from Prochazka. So when they land, they're great. When they don't land, well, they put you in a bad spot. So there's that. Now for the negatives. Prochazka doesn't block anything. Literally nothing. Just doesn't block at all. His defense is movement, right? Tries to get out of the way with the head movement, goofy stuff he does. He ain't going to block anything. Doesn't check leg kicks either. So that's a problem for him as well. He's also really heavy on that lead leg because he's crouched down like this doing all that wild stuff. He's going to eat leg kicks. He's going to not do anything about it. And you know what? He doesn't block anything, like I said. So if the movement gets compromised from the leg kicks, he's in trouble. However, he's got fantastic cardio. So if this fight goes late, you got to assume Prochazka's going to start taking over. Round 4 and 5, probably going to be for Prochazka because he will be the fresher fighter as the fight drags on. We saw him go with Glover Teixeira in a war in which he was losing. Teixeira was definitely up on the scorecards. Broke my heart when Teixeira lost because I had a big bet on him, and who wasn't rooting for Teixeira in that matchup? But anyway, Prochazka got the win there. It's because he was fresher. He was able to keep going. And when Glover tired, Prochazka was there. Well, that might be the case here. But if he doesn't have a leg to stand on, he's going to be in trouble. I think Alex Pereira is going to start using those leg kicks early. I think he's going to slow the movement of Prochazka. And I think when Prochazka can't use that as his striking defense, because we know he doesn't block anything, I think he's going to get hit with that lead hook, and he's going to get dropped like a sack of potatoes. Give me Alex Pereira to be the new light heavyweight champion of the world after this fight. I think he gets it done. He venges his coach, and he takes home the belt. Thank you guys for watching this. Hey, check out that video where I broke down and fixed the UFC's problem they have at light heavyweight. It's a good video. You can tell me all your opinions and crap in it too. I love it. Thank you so much. Click it. It's probably up on the screen already. I don't have a voice left. I'll see you guys next time. See you Wednesday. Big UFC 295 panel. I'll see you guys there. Have fun. Enjoy.